We're only a few more weeks away from the next big Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay reveal, which will come during PAX West. But as we wait, a lot of new articles, previews, interviews, gameplay images, and information continues to be revealed by CD Projekt Red. We truly are full steam ahead with marketing for arguably 2020's biggest release, which quite possibly may be game of this generation based on the scope of this game, and the top tier quality we all expect from CDPR. As I've said in the past, the entire Witcher series of games were phenomenal. Obviously, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, in my opinion, is currently my pick as game of this generation, and the game that really defines and made CDPR a household name. But the first Witcher game and Assassins of Kings were and are overshadowed, underrated gems. So as it currently stands, Cyberpunk 2077 is less than 250 days away, and with each passing day we get a better understanding of what CD Projekt Red is building and creating for us, the player. But today we have a lot to go over, including tons of new gameplay details on police and law in Night City, romance partners, hacking, difficulty modes, crafting, religion, open world exploration, and much more. We're also going to break down some of the new gameplay images that CDPR has revealed, as well as discuss the developer's interesting and kind of intriguing comments about the game's story, which is being described as very adult. So yeah, jam-packed video with just so much new exciting information to discuss. But as usual, if you enjoy this Cyberpunk 2077 content and want to show your support for videos like this, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing for more, and turning notifications on so you do not miss out on any new content. Nonetheless, similar to Rockstar Games' massive release last year, Red Dead Redemption 2, some of gaming's biggest publishers are realizing that the next massive release like RDR2 is coming in spring 2020 with Cyberpunk 2077. Ubisoft recently hosted its financial conference call for investors and analysts related to the first quarter of the fiscal year 2019 to 2020, and the company's CFO admitted that it was good news that Cyberpunk 2077 is not releasing in the quarter that their big release Watch Dogs Legion is releasing in. Last year, this was actually something that Ubisoft and Electronic Arts were saying about with Red Dead Redemption 2. It's one of the reasons why Battlefield 5 was delayed, but yeah, these are just game publishers understanding when they need to get away from giant releases so their own games are not hurt. For those who have been following along and curious about the big Cyberpunk 2077 ARG, which thus far has delivered some secret messages and websites from CD Projekt Red, we left off with the discovery of a mysterious Reddit account called CorpThing, and that's actually where it still is at. It appears to be on pause for now, and we still have no real idea of what this could be leading to. In other news, recently CD Projekt Red announced the official Cyberpunk 2077 standalone physical card game, which will release sometime next year. But if you were curious if there would be a mini game similar to Gwent within Cyberpunk 2077, it has been confirmed that that will not be happening. Following the physical card game announcement, some took to Reddit and thought it was indication that CDPR had plans for a Gwent-like minigame, with some speculating that CDPR had maybe attained the rights to Netrunner, a card game that was discontinued when the publisher Fantasy Flight Games let their license expire last year. The belief was that maybe CDPR had obtained the license to use for a card game in Cyberpunk 2077, but Rafal Jaki, the business development director at CD Projekt Red, confirmed in a Reddit post, "Sorry all, but we are not doing Netrunner in any way. I am a fan of the game myself, but we decided to create something new and standalone. No plans to have a card game in the Cyberpunk 2077 video game." Now, importantly, this does not mean that there won't be a unique minigame in Cyberpunk 2077 that everybody gets attached to. At least that's not confirmed or denied yet. But it does mean that we won't see a reskinned Gwent in Night City, and I'm honestly perfectly fine with that decision. One of my favorite parts of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt were the minigames. Besides Gwent, I love that there was a tournament that took you all over the game's world for fist fighting, and thus far, for Cyberpunk 2077, we know there will be a boxing minigame which you can compete in a series of matches, so maybe like a tournament that we can take part in. But there's also car racing, a shooting range, and the big minigame appears to be hacking, which based on what CDPR has said about it, it's more complex than most games which feature hacking minigames, whether that be Fallout, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, or Watch Dogs. And in Cyberpunk 2077, it will make the process of subverting systems more challenging, engaging, and rewarding. Specifically, senior level designer Miles Tost said just after E3 that a cool thing about this minigame is that it's not a binary thing. It's not so much about success and failure so much as how big you win. The fantasy behind it being that the better you are at this hacking procedure, the more control you get over the actual network that you're hacking, and that manifests in additional rewards on top of your main objective being added to you and maybe your inventory. So there is no Gwent-like card system, but it sounds like hacking could be a very interesting and intriguing minigame. Next though, we have received some new Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay images. All of these appear to be from the gameplay demo that was revealed privately to those who attended E3 2019 and will, as I said earlier, be revealed publicly during PAX West. The first two images come from the official Xbox magazine, and here we can see female V riding her motorcycle into what I believe is the Grand Imperial Mall where the Animals gang are hiding out in. And in the second image, it looks like V is traversing through the mall and the weapon at their disposal is the nanowire. Last month, CDPR revealed an official image of the Yaba Kusanagi bike, which in one of my recent Cyberpunk 2077 videos I highlighted as it was previously featured in a Japanese gaming outlet's preview. But now we have an actual HD official version, which I mean, it looks excellent. It's a great wallpaper. The official Cyberpunk 2077 social media accounts have actually regularly been sharing new gameplay images. This one right here appears to show an armed Voodoo Boys gang member guarding a location, and what's most interesting is the luxury vehicle in the background, possibly giving us an idea of some of the vehicles we can obtain in Night City. But the last image we have here is one that was shown briefly during the E3 2019 release date announcement trailer that Keanu Reeves revealed on the E3 stage. And in that footage, it showed V armed with nanowire, but in this image, it has V armed with a machine gun facing off against Sasquatch, the leader of the Animals gang, who is armed with a sledgehammer. Moving on, over the last month, there has been quite a few interviews, including this one, coming from a Polish gaming website that visited CD Projekt Red and spoke to their quest director. We first get some more background on what we should expect from Keanu Reeves' character Johnny Silverhand, and CDPR explains how important he is to the game and pushes back at the notion that he's just there to make some random comments to us. No, he's definitely more than just that. Silverhand is our companion through the major part of the game because a big part of the plot revolves around him. We decided that the players will be able to shape the relationship they have with him. Sometimes he will appear just to throw some comments, sometimes we'll get the chance to talk with him on various subjects and to argue with him. The way we handle those conversations will affect later parts of the game, and one does have to wonder if the relationship of Alt Cunningham and Johnny Silverhand, their history of course, will play a big role on the overall narrative of Cyberpunk 2077. The plot of the game seems to revolve around an implant that is the key to immortality, and based on Cunningham's work on the Soul Killer program, I just wonder how all of this may come together and the decisions that we may have to make. Later in this interview, we did get some confirmation that like Grand Theft Auto, you can pull someone out of a car and steal it. There will be an option like that unless you do that when the police or local gang patrol are looking, then you get yourself in trouble. Furthermore, this Polish gaming outlet would ask about some of the side content we can take part in, and while CD Projekt Red doesn't reveal anything new that will be featured, they do confirm that there will not be a classic notice board which was being utilized by Geralt in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Next, on the subject of hand-holding, this journalist claims that The Witcher 3 was too easy with giving us needed information and pointing us straight to a target or objective. They ask if Cyberpunk 2077 will be different, and CD Projekt Red responds with the following. It's always a subject of discussion on every project. Some believe that there should be no hand-holding at all, while others claim that the gameplay should be as clear as it's possible. We're always aiming for something in between. We want the game to be accessible to the people who play just for the plot, but we also have side quests in which we let this hand go. There are situations in which you find someone or something in a certain area on your own. Instead of Witcher senses, we can use our Kiroshi, optical, augmentation, and augmented reality. We're planning to have some things hidden, more difficult to find where there won't be that many hints. Something similar to a treasure map. Over a month ago, VG247 spoke with Cyberpunk 2077's lead quest designer Paweł Sasko, and I wanted to bring up one specific comment he made because it's been overlooked and provides us a better idea on some of the things that we'll be doing not necessarily within Night City. While confirming that we will not be able to freely drive a flying vehicle, he further had this to say about another form of transportation some including myself have been curious about. There are boats in the game definitely, and there are even some story elements focused around the boats, boats. Don't want to spoil the story too much, but definitely boats are part of the game, but you cannot drive the boat. You can swim, but I would like not to disclose anything. We had some quests in The Witcher that were focused around water and doing stuff around the water, and we have something here as well. Now, I did reach out to CD Projekt Red for a more detailed explanation, but they are being tight-lipped on this, only confirming that V can swim and dive, so maybe there will be some treasure we can uncover, and it sounds like there will be some quests taking place in the ocean. Now to another interview, this time from WCCF Tech, who spoke to Cyberpunk 2077's UI coordinator, Alvin Liu. We first have him explaining how law and crime will be handled in Night City, and he explains that committing a crime can be complicated considering the power and influence of giant megacorporations, as well as local gangs who patrol and control certain parts of Night City. The way that works is that they are basically up for hire. Basically, the law exists to take bribes from corporations, so a corporation might pass a law that you can't sell medicine anymore, and they're going to enforce it. The only reason they got the law passed was that they bribed the government, and they are only using it as a proxy, so it's not a place where you want to trust the government necessarily. There probably are good people out there also, but it's a city of people trying to constantly get one up on each other. We have a system that we're still iterating upon. People will, not be nice to you if you start killing many people. There are some people you can't kill because that might have blocked a quest, and that's just by design. But it's not what our game is based upon. So I would compare it to The Witcher 3, where if you chopped off the head of a villager in the middle of nowhere, the guards wouldn't show up out of nowhere. But if you are in a big town and someone from the guards sees you and the people nearby run away screaming for help, people will come and try to stop you, and they're going to be usually pretty powerful. We also have what we call the trauma team. When questioned about the possibility of being arrested and going to jail, the CD Projekt Red developer would not answer because they didn't want to spoil anything. But with that last part about the trauma team, it has been explained before. If you have their coverage plan, they can come and save you when you're in trouble and take you to a medical facility. Later in this interview, we do get confirmation of multiple difficulty modes. Yes, of course. The most fun, I think, will be the hardcore setting, where we turn off the user interface, and that will be a real challenge for a lot of players. Also, at the same time, if you want to play more casually for the story, maybe you're not experienced with shooters, which was a real big concern for us, we want to tell a story, and maybe you're a big fan of The Witcher and you're not comfortable playing a shooter, we have settings available for that. We even have weapons for that. If you recall from last year's demo, we had a weapon called the Smart Gun, which helps you aim. But the last thing I'll bring up from this specific interview is further details about how romance will work. I don't want to do spoilers, but we want to write very strong characters. We want to have personalities that you can interact with. If you remember from The Witcher 3, where Yennefer and Triss had very different personalities, it was interesting navigating how you would talk to one or the other. So to that effect, we've selected some NPCs who will have very rich relationships. But we also have, since it's a modern world, one night stands exist. So something like that is also possible. And also, like in the real world, you can also just exchange money for adult fun. YouTuber The Neon Arcade recently revealed from one of his subscribers that sent him this screenshot that players can have multiple romance partners supposedly at the same time, although one does have to wonder if it's going to be like The Witcher 3 and if there will be consequences for trying that route. In another interview, this time with Polish Radio, Cyberpunk 2077's lead quest designer explained that they are making the game specifically for an adult audience. Thanks to a Polish viewer who sent me this translation, but the CD Projekt Red developer specifically responds saying that their goal is to tell a movie-like story for an adult audience, touching subjects that we face in our times. He specifies that their games are not toys and are not for children. He says in today's culture, we try to avoid difficult subjects, but they will not shy away from these. In fact, he says the game is loaded with them. They want people to think for themselves, and it will be up to us to decide what our morality is. He then continues, the game will allow you to look at things from different perspectives, so knowing them, it will rarely be a black and white situation we find ourselves in. The goal is to keep the player on the edge of their seat by telling a breathtaking story. For the sake of time, I do want to next include a quick rundown of some of the other features and information that has been revealed in various interviews with CDPR devs that have been published recently. First, thanks to Reddit user Shavad, which detailed a German interview done with Alvin Liu. CDPR detailed the freedom of gameplay that players will have with this one example. In a quest where the player's objective was preventing an assassination attempt, the tester managed to finish this quest prematurely by finding the assassin, throwing a grenade through a window at the right angle, thus killing the assassin. Even though it prevents the player from completing a secondary objective, getting information from the assassin, CD Projekt Red still left that option in the game, which I will just say I love that being possible, especially being that other games like Red Dead Redemption 2 would have given you a game over timer screen for not following the mission how it was intended. So yes, this is player freedom that I certainly enjoy. It's been revealed that the better you are at hacking, the more options you will unlock while dealing with security systems. Like for example, at the basic level of hacking, you might be able to open a door, but you won't gain access to security cameras or learn about all the enemy positions through the communication channel. Additionally, CD Projekt Red is planning different types of hacking mini-games depending on the company that created the particular system that you're breaking into. CDPR wanted to make sure that players will be able to pause the game during pretty much any activity, although while you're doing something like combat or actively shooting at an enemy and hit the pause menu, you will not be able to switch weapons from your inventory. You can modify certain augmentations in the middle of gameplay, like for example by changing the damage type dealt by Manus Blades, but of course you would not be able to install or replace them without a Ripper Doc's help. The game will feature a robust crafting system allowing you to, among other things, craft ammo for your weapons. You can increase your skills not just through practice, but also by undergoing special training with the right person or buying a proper cyberware. Now, moving along to a translation of details coming from some Polish gaming outlets that visited CD Projekt Red and got to see another preview of the game, we have found out that V can start a conversation with an NPC without leaving our bike or car. It works like a classic dynamic conversation. Some merchants will offer unique items and discounts only for a specified period of time or at specific times. Each attribute and skill in Cyberpunk 2077 goes up to level 10. There are 60 perks too, 5 per skill, and each perk has 5 levels of progression. CDPR also confirmed that religion will be featured in Night City in many forms and is still important to society. A CD Projekt Red developer saying that we're going to see, for example, Christianity and its different branches or religions from the East. So yeah, that's a lot of new gameplay information and details that have been shared by CD Projekt Red, and one thing I personally am very curious about and have not seen or been able to get an answer on is vehicle customization and how it will work. This was something confirmed earlier this year in a French preview, but we haven't seen any details on this since. Hopefully in the coming months, maybe we see a new trailer showing how far we can customize our vehicle. Now, there are a few more pieces of news I want to briefly touch on. Mike Pondsmith, the Cyberpunk creator, recently revealed that he will indeed have a role, but it's being kept secret, and I think I speak for everyone saying that CDPR utilizing Mike's voice is a breathtaking choice. And also, I mean, he is the Cyberpunk creator, and I think we all kind of expected Mike to appear in some way in the game. Speaking of Mike Pondsmith, right now his company Artalsorian Games just released Cyberpunk Red, which is supposed to pave the way to Cyberpunk 2077. It's set in the year 2045, and the reason why it's called Cyberpunk Red is due to the mass destruction and radiation from the Fourth Corporate War. A red pall hangs over the skies worldwide, and from what I have seen, Cyberpunk Red details the rebuilding of Night City after the war and how Night City has successfully recovered and adapted in the years since the war between Arasaka and Militech. All of this will play a role in the events that take place in Cyberpunk 2077. But right now, CD Projekt Red has been sharing some of the amazing cosplay from their most loyal fans, including the work from Irina Mayer, and they are preparing for Gamescom, which certainly will feature tons of new previews and information on the game. Right now though, all of us are eagerly awaiting the event afterwards, which is PAX West, and more importantly, when their new gameplay demo finally goes public. Anyway, we discussed a ton of new information and news, and I want to know your opinion on everything that we went over. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so do make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games, and again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more Cyberpunk 2077 videos, and I'll see you later.